Hey everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm going to be giving you a complete Megaminx improvement guide all the way from sub 3 minutes to sub 1 minute and 10 seconds. So, let's get started. By the way, I'm going to talk about hardware at the end. So, getting sub 3 minutes on Megaminx really isn't that hard. All you really got to do is learn how to solve a Megaminx and learn the Westland S2L method. Here is an overview of it, but there's also other tutorials you can watch on how the Westland method works. So you start off by building a star. So I usually start on yellow star and go clockwise. I like it more than anti-clockwise. In fact, I've never even tried that. But anyways, you build a star by putting in these two edges, and then you solve these three F2L pairs, or S2L pairs, we are going to call it in this case. Then we solve the star, which in this case only needs one piece and two F2L pairs. There are other S2L methods like Yudachyon, and other ones. So you keep moving on, and yeah, so this is the last one. You basically do the same thing. It can just be a little bit harder, and then in that case you'd have three F2L pairs. And then then you have last layer, which you can solve in many different ways, but that's not really needed to talk about right now at sub 3 minutes. And you should also have good hardware and good turning. Moving on to sub 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So going from sub 3 to sub 2:30 really isn't all that hard. At this stage, I recommend learning for look last layer, which is just beginner's for look last layer. It's just a simple way to just do last layer in 4 algorithms. Here is how it works. You first solve the star on top, then you solve all the corners. After that, you solve the edges, and then you solve the corners. So you usually do this using a commutator like that, but instead of having to do that Z2 rotation like that, there's a way to do it without rotating, which goes like an R prime, whatever this move is, R. And it's much better, as you can see. It saves a rotation for Megaminx, which is lots of rotations in Megaminx. I mean, it's a 12-sided puzzle. And also make sure to practice a lot. And you're also going to start doing look ahead, which we'll talk more about on the next one. By the way, timestamps are in the description. Now, moving on to sub 2 minutes. This is where you need to really start focusing on look ahead. You've probably heard of the 3x3 term called look ahead. Well, while you're doing one F2L pair, you look ahead for the next one. So this is common found in like sub 15 solves. So, basically, you should probably be sub 15 to get sub 2 on Mega. And so you want to make sure that you're looking ahead in every step. Also, another trick, this is a bit more advanced, but you see I inserted an F2L pair before finishing off the star? Well, that's okay to do, and it can help. It's basically kind of like block building. So doing F2L pairs before finishing your star is okay, especially if you can see an F2L pair, but you can't see your last one. So in F2L, pieces are all over the place, and it's a bit harder to look ahead. So there you could start turning a bit slower, but they are pretty simple in S2L. So it's a bit easier, as you can see. It's easier to turn a bit faster in this case. So yeah, you want to start focusing on look ahead and a bit of efficiency, which once we get to sub 110, we'll talk a lot about efficiency. Next up is sub 1 minute and 45 seconds. So getting from sub 2 to sub 145 is not hard at all. It took me what? Like 5-6 days to go from that on my old Megaminx, which is not a great Megaminx. We'll talk about hardware later, but this is some cheap Megaminx. And it was getting back to sub 145. You really just need to improve your look ahead and start doing slow solves. So slow solves, you must have heard it from 3x3. To get sub 145 on Megaminx, you probably need to be around sub 13.5 on 3x3. So it's when you're not timing your solves, it's not good to just be timing the solves, because you can find better and efficient solutions, which is very important for Megaminx. So just maybe do a couple of Megaminx slow solves a day, and you will see that you will become sub 145. Sub 130. Getting from sub 145 to sub 130 also isn't that hard. You really need to focus on your look ahead, as at this stage, look ahead is probably the most important thing until you really need to start caring about efficiency, because you have a lot of freedom to do stuff in Megaminx, as it's a 12-sided puzzle. At this stage, you probably want to be using your inspection widely. You want to make sure you can at least plan 3 cross edges or 2 cross edges and a pair. For example, so what I can do here is I could plan 3 cross edges. There aren't any really good pairs other than possibly this one. Yeah, in fact, we could go for that. So my eyes are closed, and I have basically, see? Okay, that was a fail, but the more you practice it, it will get better. And look ahead, obviously, is still really important. You should also be watching example solves. Learn how to do notation. It is a bit different. I'll be releasing a tutorial on how to read notation on Megaminx. And example solves, especially from some fast people, at this level maybe sub 1 minute or possibly even better, because there's not really any special methods. It's mostly just efficiency and look ahead to get faster. So there's not much difference between you, or let's say, for example, me. I average around 109, 108, between the difference of like a 29-second solver. It's all mostly about efficiency and look ahead. Finally, sub 1 minute and 10 seconds. So, oh boy, this is where we're really going to talk about efficiency. I'm going to show you many tricks and other tips on rigging efficiency, but here's some quick tips. Example solves and slow solves are really the things you need to improve your efficiency. Let's look, for instance, we have an F12 pair, but it's supposed to go here. So we could first pair it up and then put it in. Now you're also going to want to learn this back insert. So instead of having to rotate and go from here, no, that's bad. So what we instead could do is insert into the back from here into here with this R2 prime, U2 prime, R2. Simply like that. And try to figure out more efficient solutions. You could also use things like keyhole. There we go. So I just want to show something. It's kind of like talking how Megaminx is not very similar to 3x3. But so basically, on a normal 3x3, let's say you're doing an F12 pair like this, you need to do it, pair it up, and then do an R prime at the end. However, that's because you probably won't have a free space around here. However, in Megaminx, you can do this. So basically, what I'm saying is that instead of having to do an R, U2, R prime, you don't need the R prime. So there's many different ways you can do this. It can save moves, and in a solve, it can save a lot of moves. So finding out small tricks like these can really help in improving in Megaminx, and it is just gonna help you a lot. Now moving on to hardware, I'm going to give you about 5 different options for a good Megaminx. The GAN Megaminx, kind of expensive but a good option. The Diane Megaminx, a popular cube. The YJ Yuhu Megaminx, a great budget option. The Shengsha Yufeng Megaminx, my current main and an awesome cube you really should go for. So despite the pretty low price, it's actually a great cube, turns really well, can be a bit annoyingly loud. It also comes with matte and a 20 magnet ball core, and it's just a great cube. I highly recommend this one. The Yushin Little Magic Megaminx, another great budget cube. Now I'm going to do a random Megaminx solve, so you get to know what a fast, about sub 110 Megaminx solve looks like. My current PB is 1 minute flat. My current PR single in competition is 1 minute and 6 seconds. And PR average is 114. And I'm not gonna lie, this solve feels like it could be a sub 1 minute, which would be insane if I got a new PB on camera. Oh, it doesn't look like I'm gonna get it anymore. But still seems like... Let's go. 1 minute and 2 seconds. That's it for today's video. I hope you liked it. Make sure to subscribe, like, and stop making my cubes disappear. I hope this video helped you and you improve faster at Megaminx soon. Bye!